Okay, folks, welcome back. Well, let's see how long we can do this for today. Dirty fucking gamers. That's what I'm going to do. Every time I cough, that's what I'm going to say. Dirty fucking gamers. Actually, in this case, it was dirty fucking modelers. It might not even be the modeler's fault. It might have just been some funk that was in Orlando, but... The great unwashed. Well, I don't remember the last time I smelled BO or something, but I'm to the point where I'm gonna make a fucking scene. Like, who the fuck smells here? Maybe not catering to these people. Go straighten somebody out. Maybe I can make a difference. Your boss wouldn't let you get away with that. You can't just wear a t-shirt that you've worn 20 times and mustard stains on it and go into work and your boss not give a shit. Of course, your boss could be the same way, but... Alright, folks. So I have been under the weather. Monday and Tuesday I was basically on low power and pretty much went to sleep almost immediately when I got home. Yesterday was the opposite. I made myself stay awake and took some nighttime sleeping pills, some nighttime sleeping, cough stuff, NyQuil. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, of course, coughing up a storm. It's something sinus related, that's what it feels like. It's like a sinus something. I'm already on the back end of it, but it's just annoying that, you go to a show and it's like, I forgot to, to take extra vitamins and stuff to boost my metabolism, but it's like, man, I was only at the show an hour and a half, so maybe it wasn't a show, but I drove all the way down there and basically the show wasn't worth going to, so I had my own show with all the stuff that I have. But anyway, so this morning we got up at 3, did the stuff that we needed to do, and just proceeded on building up the armor on whatever this is going to be called. This redneck mobile. We're going to call it Old Betsy for now. It's going to be something like that. It just has a big cannon on it. That's pretty much it. It looks like it's got armor. It doesn't have any additional armor. It's just a freaking cannon. That's it. With a 3-man crew. So. Now, I know the plates that are on the body of and I've got a magnet on here as well. We put a magnet in the bottom, and we put a magnet here. So, we can twist this thing around like however we need to. Alright, so let's put on the super readers. Because we're going to need to get all up in there. It would help if they'd be clean. And since I'm going to paint these things over, I'm going to go ahead and start by making all these plates on here the rusty color, or at least the bottom color we use for the rusty, which is this rough iron. Because this thing's just haphazardly put together. And this thing is flat coated. It does have a brown wash on it. Yeah, today I actually feel better than any of the other days, but I sound the worst. So once we're done with this vehicle, we don't have anything we're working on, meaning we can start with another batch. I think that worked out well. Grab like another 4 and then do those 4. And choose what order I can do those 4 in. So I know Tree Fitty is going to be one of the ones. It's going to be one of those 4. And probably Flowering Fubuki is another one. I'm probably going to do those 2. For sure. Heck, I've already built those cars in my mind. What they're going to be equipped with. Just a matter of making them look like that. And Mitch doesn't know this yet, but we're not playing tomorrow. I'm not. It's too much of an ask. You don't want to hear that on a video. Too big an ask. Why are you such a big ask? Well, I'm doing all the heavy lifting. And this plate on the back. Now, I think what I'm going to do is this contraption, I'm probably going to use the same color on this. And whether or not it gets paint is something totally different. It's going to get paint on the roof. We're going to paint a Confederate-ish flag on the top of it. It's like the perfect size for it. Air recognition, I guess. Because that's what these people are. They're the pride of the South, folks. We're going to reverse the colors, and we're not going to put. I think we're going to reverse the colors and not put the stars on it to avoid, YouTube giving me a ding for, I don't know if they have a problem showing videos of American Civil War stuff with Confederate flags, and I'm not promoting anything like that, but look, they use that kind of shit. So I'm fine making up my own faction. So I might as well just do that with them, And we can attach this to anything that's metal. This looks like it's made out of an ironclad. The same people that made ironclads made this. This is a bit cattywampus. A little cattywampus isn't bad. I mean, this is some kind of homemade, contraption. There we go. Not the barrel. Rinse this out. All right. So yeah, the main body of the rebel flag is red. So the main body, this one will be blue. With a white X, so it's like the Scots. And then red in the middle of it. But let's not do that yet, because it's not going to look right with all the paneling and stuff isn't done. Okay? So the next thing we need to do is color match this a little bit. This one might be a little tricky to do. Oh, it's pretty close to whole red. It's pretty damn close to whole red. We're going to need Mr. Black out here. See if we can get crud all over us. Always seems to happen when you're using these tops. I think whole red's is the color to use. Can always tone it down a little bit if we need to with some brown. And it doesn't have to look exactly the same. It just has to look like somebody kind of made an attempt to, not make it look like a freaking, what's the word I'm thinking of? Those, a shanty, what's the name? A shanty town. Not look like a shanty town. Shanty towns don't exactly give you a warm, fuzzy feeling that, they're going to do okay in a battle. And just for the record, I did paint the inside of it. Not that you're even going to be able to see it, but it is painted. All right. Let's add a little bit more of the red to his. That's pretty fucking close. Actually, I probably wouldn't want it to be exactly the same color because it would just all like blend together like a big blob. That's pretty fucking close, man. I mean, that's why I have so many colors. I don't need them. It just gives me a good starting point to start modifying them from somewhere. Well, I'd like to get this done tonight. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but a lot of that's going to depend on you guys. So I can tell you what isn't going to work is me staying on here doing this and just talking to myself for 2 hours. Not a single comment. That ain't gonna fly. It's not gonna work real well. Got a little step there. It's funny because you look at this color and it doesn't scream Hall red to you. Looks like a brown, but I guess it's pretty reddish. I'll get myself a little liquid just a moment. All right. Yeah, I just don't want to film. I don't want to film any things and then it'd be like, it's got some Confederate thing on there. And I'm actually, it would be none of my viewers because we're going to make fun of these people being inbred. You know, it's not like to promote the Confederacy or anything like that. I mean, I'm glad they didn't win. You know, we'd all be like Mitch, not wearing shoes all the time. You know, you can't have that. I mean, I won't wear shoes inside my own house, but that's it. Beach, you know, pool deck. That's it. Not my own pool deck. I don't have a pool. But you know, there's things that you can put on a video that'll cause it to get taken down. That there's automatic the machines are automatically like, you know, targeting certain things, so they'll see something and like it gets taken down. So you know, I don't put any crooked spiders or anything on that. If I'm doing Nazi planes, I don't put the crooked spider on the top of the turret or anything like that. I do if it's like here, you know, because it's like we're not promoting that. And anybody who's played with me knows we don't. promote any kind of dictators of any kind, but there's just automatic stuff that is just an issue if you have to try to get that stuff taken down and get a human to actually intervene with the automatic thing. You could be sitting around waiting for a couple of months. So I'd rather not stir that pot. And I don't want to not put that kind of insignia because that's exactly what they would do. I mean, if you have some beat up thing here with, some redneck mobile, it would have a big rebel flag on it somewhere, So we're going to do that across the top here. But we're going to reverse the colors, and we're not going to put the stars because that's my cop-out. If I don't put the stars, I don't have to spend a decade making all the stars look even and shit like that. Okay? So we'll see how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right now and see Confederate flag with colors reversed. Confederate flag. And it's a shame because I think it's an attractive flag. I mean, I think the battle flag of the Confederacy is an attractive flag. There's a lot of unattractive flags. That's not one of them. Now, does it have some symbolism that other people don't like? Sure. And I understand why that has it. Doesn't necessarily bother me, but, my people weren't necessarily anybody that was, that they went after. Okay, so we're going to try kind of like this is what we're aiming for. Okay? And this team or faction is going to be called the Rednecks anyways. So that's what they're going to use. Let's see what blue we can use as a field that we don't have to tinker with. Maybe even one of these craft ones. Admiral blue. One of these is like really, really dark. Might be this one. That's spot on. Spot on, sir. Now, I may not like how this looks at all. And I may have to say, this doesn't look right. We have to try to use the rebel flag with the right colors. But I'm going to at least give this an intent to see if it works. Not this one. That one's too good right now. Let's use this one. Mix a little bit of black in with it. But we're here to make fun of this. My idea of playing this is we make fun of everybody. So you have rednecks on here, you make fun of them being inbred and stuff like that. Is everybody that's from the South inbred? No. But these people are. These people on this team are. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit. Now, the only bad thing about this craft paint is it seems to stay wet a while. Okay? And we have to come back and bring that up a little bit or what have you. I just want to make sure that if this looks plausible, if I like how this looks, etc. All right. Yeah, that's the one we're going to use. But we got to use white. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that there was whatever color you have in the middle has white around it. I'm like, I don't believe I've ever painted a rebel flag or a Confederate flag or anything like that. Not exactly a period that I like to war game or anything like that. Might need to let that sit a little bit longer. Now you're probably wondering, okay, well, why don't you just armor up the front of the vehicle? Well, I don't want to give the impression that a vehicle has certain skills or abilities that it doesn't have. That's just my personal taste. I don't want to put a ram on it if the vehicle doesn't have a ram. So I design it first, and then build it accordingly. It's that's an incentive. You want to build a ram, build a vehicle with a ram on it. If other people want to play it a different way, well, that's fine. But I think it adds confusion. If you're like, well, that thing's got a flamethrower, so can we use a flamethrower? No. Well, it's got a flamethrower on it. Yeah, but it's pretending to be a mortar this time. It just adds confusion. Start getting into why these little skirmishers guys have bows but they don't shoot at a distance scenario. Like, we don't want to go back to that. Okay, that kind of stuff doesn't make any sense to me. So we're not going to keep promoting that kind of stuff. Like this poppycock. Poppycock's got a Vickers machine gun, forward firing. Does it look like it has any other weapons? No. Well, guess what? It doesn't. Probably should get a hairdryer, but that's noisy. Going to do the white stripe. And this is going to be the catch, is how wide do we make it? Well, just like anything else, you don't want to do it all in one swipe. Probably something like this would be good. Darken it a little bit. We don't want pure white. Want to be able to build it up. All right, we're going to go from corner to corner. And the blue's not dry yet, which is fine. We need to go a little wider than that. Hey, what's up, the Hoffman? Do we have anything specific for you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I picked up some other Japanese cars. I had no intention to, but it happened. I found a Skyline. I'm like, I have to have a Skyline. I want to have a Skyline. Well, I have an old Skyline, but it doesn't look like a Skyline, but picked up a Skyline and an RX-7 with a bunch of graphics on it. But this is the last one that we've cut up. This is going to be Old Betsy. We'll call it Old Betsy for now. Who knows if it'll change into something like else. But, hey, why are you putting the Scottish flag on there? I said, well, it's going to be... I'm going to make the blue a little bit brighter than Scottish blue. But, yeah, we're going to reverse the colors on the rebel flag and see how it looks. I may not like how it looks and have to go like, well, let's just do a regular rebel flag and just deal with the consequences. We're going to make fun of these inbred mofos. It's not like we're going to be promoting Confederate values or anything like that. But we're here to make fun of everybody, One of the urban cowboys, that's a good name for them. One of the urban cowboys has a vehicle that has a big fist in it, which my dad coming from a country that switched to communism, we hate anything that has a raised fist in the air. I don't care whether the president does it or, one of the Antifa groups does it. Anything that has a raised fist, I'm out. So, the fisters, yeah. So we're going to make fun of those guys because they use a raised fist. So we're here to make fun of everybody, so. We're not promoting Confederate values, but that just makes it easier. I don't have to worry about filming a battle and then like, oh, there's a little rebel flag on there. That's racist. No, it's not. We're here. These guys have to be here so we can make fun of them not having any teeth. No. I said before, I'm proud being from the South, but I'm not Southern. Just like you might be proud of being from Texas, but you're not Texan or, whatever. I forget if you wear boots to bed or not. Forgot if I've asked you that or not, but so one thing about Texas is so weird, man. They wear boots. I mean cowboy boots. Like, I don't own a pair of cowboy boots and never plan on owning a pair of cowboy boots. They don't, not my style, But I'm doing all right. I'm a little under the weather. I feel fine. I sound terrible. But earlier this week, I sounded okay and didn't feel good. Well, I never really felt bad. I was just like low on power. Let's see if we can give this a second helping. And we'll just slowly go across it, making it wider until we get the width that we're happy with. And you got to add a little bit of water, even though this doesn't cover great, because you want it to be smooth. Skylines are good in that Dig RX-7's rotary engine. Yeah, I still need to find a WRX. I haven't been able to find one priced reasonably. I'm going to make it silver like mine. It's going to be called Subrina. Might be a car driven by a girl. Doesn't matter. But I got all these done that are done on the table, so I think that's what it is. I'm gonna put like four together. Take four of them apart. Next one's gonna be Tree Fitty. We're gonna do flowering Fujimi. Actually, it'd be a good name too, but Fubuki. I wonder what Fujimi means. Other than I don't want to use modeling companies. That's like cheesy. Like I don't have any ideas. It's like when I was come up with last names. I don't want anybody named Hasagawa and Fujimi or anything like that. Fujimi meaning Japanese. Immortal or invincible. Whoa. Immortal Plastic Company. You die, you bring shame on your family. You should live forever. So we're not going to game tomorrow because I don't want to listen to myself. I just need to survive. Maybe next week. We're still going to work on this stuff. It's not like we're not going to be. And I was producing stuff while I wasn't doing my show. Not so much a couple of the days, but. Okay, that's about the width that we want. I'm just going to have to clean this up a little bit. But that's all right. We need to make this wider than you would think because remember, we got to put a red stripe in between there. Let's just leave that alone. I like how Skylines look. I really like the way Silvas look. I really like the way Silvas look. but they don't come to the States. And they're rear wheel drive. I don't know if I could drive a rear wheel drive car. After driving an all wheel drive car, like, I don't know if I could drive something that isn't all wheel drive. It's pretty friggin' amazing how much grip that thing has. I don't go overboard on Texas stuff. Everywhere you go in Texas, you see Texas merch for sale and people wearing Texas labeled clothing a lot. Well, Texas has my brother-in-law was going to get married in Texas, and then it was the year of the COVID, so it didn't happen. He was getting married in Austin. And at the time, we didn't know the COVID thing was happening, so they had like a party. I forget what they called, like a party, saying an engagement party. And they were going to get married in Texas for whatever reason. They don't live in Texas. They just wanted to get married in Austin. And they had made these cookies that were in the shape of the state of Texas and were decorated like the Texas flag. And they were the cutest fucking things ever. So I'm a huge fan of the Texas flag. I think it's adorable. And especially with, the background of the state of Texas, which is, also cute. But yeah, I'm not interested in cowboy boots. Like, because Texas isn't the South. Texas is Texas, Just like Florida's not really the South. Florida's Florida. This thing wet way too long. Okay. Well, if it's going to be like that, yeah, we need to bring that blue up. It looks like Scotland. Like, what the hell? What in the Scottish hell? Yeah, let's see if I can find a picture of those. They were the cutest fucking things. Yeah, they were kind of like this. They're kind of like this. They didn't have this little blueberry bush or whatever. It was adorable, Here you go. This one at the top. Although for some reason I thought the blue was a lot darker on it. Anyways, it looked adorable. I've given up on the Jap project since those minis never came. I got a 3D printing project going right now. Oh, you 3D print stuff? Do they refund your money, or they're just like, sorry folks, it's lost across the pond? You want to do this stuff anyways. I went to that show, that Model Palooza. It's the biggest model show. What? There wasn't a fucking thing there was Japanese that was, infantry or guns or tanks or nothing. There was some Japanese aircraft, some Japanese ships, but there was, obviously aircraft from all kinds of other stuff. But I think there was like one landing craft. There was an old Airfix Buffalo that looked like it sat in somebody's basement, which there are none in Florida, for like 40 years. You open it and it's like just loose parts. I'm like, I'm not getting into that. It's not like it was like free. I really just I picked up a lot of models, and I don't want to build them right now. So why would I get more models? All right, so I really should get a hair dryer and hair dry that thing. The little British one, this did not take much trimming, but I'm also doing a very small amount. Okay. Um, Black lining. I might as well do that while that's drying. I gotta do it anyways. This is dark tone? Yeah. Yeah, you said you were gonna run out of momentum. I totally understand that. If the momentum isn't going, I'll go on to something else. I got my dice in like 2 weeks later than they were supposed to. Luckily, it didn't really affect any games. And then there was a note inside the dice. That was unusual. I'd never seen a note like this. I'll read it to you. Now, unfortunately, the shift dice are smaller than the other ones I have. They're not that much smaller, but they are 10% smaller. Jeez. Now, I believe this was a domestic seller. Maybe I'm incorrect. But there's a little note on here that says, I hugely apologize. Well, they're obviously from England because they spelled it apologize with an S. Of course, they could just be Canadian. Does Canada use English spellings? They might. I hugely apologize for the delays in shipping. The recent American changes for tariffs and de minimis exceptions are making it very difficult, very hard to sell into the U.S. and are causing unavoidable delays. Thank you so much for helping. Thanks so much for your patience, Helen. Okay. Well, that was nice of her to do that. I haven't given her a review yet. I will. I'll give her a positive one. You know, if she wouldn't have sent that note, I still would have given her a positive review, but said, hey, listen, the shipping just took too long. Which I don't really put that on them because, like, the shipping one is the one that says, hey, it'll be there on a Tuesday. It doesn't show up until, like, the following Thursday or something like that. And you see it went to a warehouse and it's just sitting there. This thing's got all kinds of nooks and crannies. Crooks and grannies? Nope, nooks and crannies. But I was really happy with the way I was really happy the way the color matching on the bus happened. Like, I need to give myself an award named after me. That was like, I'd never done that before. And that's actually one of the things I'm enjoying the most. Now, I painted the interior only to block it up. But it happens. And it actually feels good to use up all of I guess they are 3D printed. These 3D printed parts that I ordered from these people. I know I'm going to have to order more, but at least I'm putting a dent on what I have before I do that. They said they were out of country until the end of October. Must be nice. Must be some European people that can afford to take those, long ass vacations. Guess that's maybe one of those catches. They tax you to death throughout the year, so then you can just be off for a long time. Well, we get a severe lack of days off a year. Severe lack. And and that's not the bad part. The bad part is like impossible to take the few days you get off. It's just like it's a fucking nightmare. You're getting punished. You got to fix so much shit. So, if I had more days off, it'd be more of a nightmare. I do 3D modeling printing. That was in Japan. I saw this miniature diorama of a Godzilla movie set. I think it was I was going to make. Yeah, sorry I turned you on to thinking that was like a kaiju thing, but I just kind of glanced at it when I was over at Mitch's, and then I looked back at it. I'm like, it's not very kaiju at all. I mean, here's some like big monsters. The first thing I'm reading that, and the first thing I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, like you could have like a rust monster. Like remember the rust monster from Dungeons and Dragons? It looked kind of like an armadillo, an insect or whatever, kind of like that. Radioactive creatures. It's like, okay, well, 20 hit points isn't a kaiju. That would be, you know, 300 hit points would be a kaiju. I also didn't realize when I was reading it that there would be multiple of these on a side. I'm like, oh, I thought it'd just be like, let's go hunt one big guy. But they're fire breathing. I would think they'd have to be pretty. You got to be pretty big to be fire breathing because you got to have like you either don't have a lot of fire in you or you need a lot of insulation around that fire. I'm trying to make it logical. Well, I mean, logic stuff makes sense. It doesn't make sense to be, all flighty and, have your head up in the ether. I'm not very much of an ether head. Oh, you're sending me a survey? Okay, what is it? How interested are you? This is a Google opinion reviews. How interested are you in this topic or question? What are the strategic implications of the Bangladesh Air Force buying Chinese fighter jets? Not at all interested. Who gives a shit? Which of the following negative statements, if any, are true about your interest level towards what are the strategic... It was never relevant to my interests. $0.34. I don't know what I'm going to use that credit for because I don't know anything on the Play Store that I can spend $24 on. It's not like I can use it to buy cards or something. Not that I would do that, but... Oh, I had such a good game at lunchtime. This guy got all uppity and thought he was going to whoop my ass. And then slow and steady won the race. And then at the very end, he's like, great game, my friend. Oh, so now I'm your friend. Oh, so now I'm your friend. You were running your mouth first. Now you want to be friendly. Now you want to be friendly. Well, I'm probably not going to do a show Saturday morning because I need to go take my car for a PM, preventative maintenance. It's 6,000 mile oil changes up. I don't fool around with that. I do them. You want your engine to last. You know, people were like, "Oh man, your engines are unreliable." I said, "Well, you don't do the scheduled maintenance. That shit's on you, man." And I swear, you replace the engine, I don't care if they replace it for free, which they're not going to. You still have to pay for the engine. Things don't come out like they used to. You know, it's almost like you're born with the engine it came with, and you get a different engine, you could have all kinds of issues with it. I don't know why, but it sure seems that way. You need to make last what you have. Someone was telling me they like BMWs and BMWs in particular, but BMWs and Mercedes go relatively cheap because people that buy them, this is what I've been told, can't afford the intensive maintenance routine on them. So then they have all kinds of problems. And the German cars apparently are like really finicky about reliability. Like you got to do the stuff super scheduled on what it is. I mean, I've always had Japanese engines, so and I haven't abused them, so there's no reason to. Actually, had never had a problem with the Japanese engine. It's going to last longer than you are. But apparently that's what the thing is. Is a lot of the used BMWs and Mercedes, they go for a lot cheaper than you think because they get handled by people that trade them back in that can't afford to do the maintenance on them. It's like when I've rented a car, right? I've rented a car that had a turbo in it, right? And you look on there when you go and get gas, it says use premium fuel. I do. That's what I'm supposed to be using. If not, I may try to pass somebody and hesitates, and I get into an accident. You know. And I'm probably the only person that ever put premium fuel in the car. But I put premium fuel in my car. It's supposed to be what you should be using, so I do. At the end of the day, it doesn't make that much of a difference. And it could save you a whole lot of problems. That's because my car has a turbo. And I figured, might as well do what you're supposed to be doing. Now, the only thing I've stopped doing is when they say, "Hey, you want us to change your air filter?" I said, "No." So I order on Amazon and change it myself because, I know how to get to that. Okay, so again, we got the little magnetized parts. Boom. Twist all the way around. All right, we need to de-scots this thing. So I don't know if that white stripe is wide enough. We're going to find out now. What's this? The Bermelion? Well, the red that's in the Confederate flag is a little orangey, a tiny bit orangey. Where's the black? Over here. All right, this is going to need some tinkering. Now this is probably the biggest rebel flag or Confederate-ish like flag I'm going to paint on any of these vehicles. So it's kind of a pain to do it. That's looking pretty smooth there. Okay, so now we come in and we paint the white. We can paint a little bit of the white around that. Let's add a little bit of red. So we're going to go with a thin one with a white, fatten that out a little bit, and then come in with a blue and bring the blue up. And then we'll see what we got. Did you ever finish watching all the booth in the backs? Booths at the end, booth in the back. I forget which one it is. Booth at the end. That was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine who was famous like you to recommending things that I always liked. He'd play games that, although they weren't war games, they were things that I found interesting. Playing the old PlayStation 2. Well, I can't say that I've ever played PlayStation 2 because I'm an Xbox guy, but I resisted the urge to buy the new Borderlands, and I think I did the right thing. I've been on a tear with this and been really happy. I just don't want to spend the money and then be tempted to like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that thing. I got to do the other thing. I'm like, that's really cutting into the stuff that I want to do. I may not like how this looks at all. I may just said, you know, I got to change this up. This isn't going to work for me, but at least I'm going to give this a fair shake. I'm not convinced that's the problem. Yeah, it's starting to look better. I think I need to widen this red stripe a little bit. Ever so slightly. I may end up having to put the little dots in the middle to tie it together, but it'll be dots, not stars. I'm not doing stars on that side. All right. Be right back, folks.